Three-time champion in 3 different weight classes.
All right,
to add to his legacy. His Joe.
This fight's for the WBC Super Featherweight Championship of the world. I'm here to enforce the rules. Well, safety is first and foremost on my behalf. These punches here will still be good. Give me a good, clean fight. No quiero golpe detrás la nuca. Ya leí las reglas en camerino. Give me a good fight. Remember, guys, I'm fair, but I'm firm. Touch him up.
Fair but firm, Joe Cortez. The stage is set for what should be a dandy of a fight now. Marco Antonio Barrera is wearing green trunks. You're looking at Rocky Juárez, who's in black trunks. But Barrera's trunks are such a dark green, they're going to look black on your screen. But he, if you don't know these fighters, is wearing green shoes that should show up a little bit better on your screen. So the guy with his back to you, and Barrera has Barrera on the front of his trunks, and Juarez has Juarez in the back of his trunks, so you should be able to follow what the fighters are. And Tapia, that's on the back of Barrera's trunks, is his mother's maiden name. So Barrera and Tapia is actually Barrera. Rocky Juárez has Juarez in the front and the back of his trunk, so that'll help you follow them. Round number 1 scheduled for 12. And the chance of Rocky going up, yet most of the fans here are for Barrera, who treat Juarez less than an American, rather less than a Mexican. And he has a Mexican surname, of course.
Mexican Independence Day. This is Barrera's crowd. Juarez's people have been vocal. Now, for whatever early confirmation signs, Barrera looks tighter in his face and in his body makeup than he did in the first fight.
And you say that meaning that he looks that he's in better condition.
Yeah.
Although we know he's always in great shape. But I tell you this, Juarez, who was supposed to start faster, is not starting faster, in my opinion. I mean, at least through the first minute of the fight. Barrera is beating him to the punch.
Yeah, and that's a trap that Juarez can't let himself get in, and he just got nailed with a left hook as he came in and did not commit to punching.
Oh, there's the jab out there. Barrera answers with a couple of jabs of his own, tries to position him, throws the right hand, catches Juarez up behind the ear. Juarez right in front of him, not moving, and Barrera takes that as an invitation to come in. And he scores a couple of light shots on the inside. Juarez feigning forward, trying to feint Barrera back. Barrera up on his toes, gets his angle, slides off to the left, bends at the trunks. Juarez throws his shots, but nothing lands. Barrera's landing his shots, the uppercut. Less than a minute to go in the first round, and I think Barrera's boxing nicely here in round 1.
Now he's been superb on the outside, getting off first, blocking anything coming in, and he's had the speed advantage.
Yeah, noticeable speed advantage to me. And again, Juarez said that he had to open fast and box fast from the get-go, but he's not. And therefore, if this last half minute continuing the way it's going, it's Barrera's first round. And fairly, as far as I'm concerned, definitive first round for him.
Easy in this respect, because he's been able to stay outside, jab, move, and keep Juarez off him. And for Marco Antonio Barrera, you can't draw up a better first round than what he just had.
Juarez tries to reach for him, frustration and misses. I mean, I don't see any way that round could be for Rocky Juárez. Now we got to remember this, because this most likely is going to be very close at the end of the fight.
Okay, Rocky. You give me too much respect. You're not double jabbing. You're throwing one key tap. I need you to put the pressure on. You cannot take pressure. You let him dictate the fight from outside. You can't have that. You need to put the pressure on. Jab body, jab top.
Barrera says, hey, you're giving him too much respect.
He's right.
It's an indication that he sees the same thing we saw in the first round.
Ya estás adentro, nomás cambia la cabeza porque le puedes tirar abajo, ¿sale? Protector. Vivo, no se me aloque. Estamos haciendo, dale más agua, Sendai, dale más agua. Más agua.
All right, here we go, round 2. MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. Rocky Juárez facing you. Now to the right of your screen, to the left of your screen, Marco Antonio Barrera, the reigning WBC Super Featherweight Champion of the world. This is a rematch of a fight that took place last May, when, in a split decision, Barrera got the decision after it was announced a draw. Juarez comes forward.
Again, Barrera on the jab and the movement, and he's first off the mark, and he is getting off the mark a lot faster, even in this fight than last one.
His positioning is perfect. I mean, he's just outside the reach of Rocky. Now Rocky tries to come in and now mixes it up on the inside a bit. This is tough stuff on the inside. Joe Cortez left him alone as long as he could until their hands get tied up. Then he broke them. Barrera's hands just look faster, don't they, Dave?
Much, and he's getting off the mark first, probably 90% of the time so far. Yeah, he is just a first punch off.
And that's something that Rocky really didn't want to allow to happen in the early going. There he is with the jab, circling, moving, comes with that half hook, half uppercut. Juarez lashes out with a jab of his own. Rocky now tries to bounce forward, trying to land his shot. Remember, there's only a half-inch in reach difference, but Juarez hasn't been able to reach Barrera. But that's positioning by Barrera.
Really is good. He's off to the sides, he's moving on angles, and then he positions himself so that Juarez is coming up short. Juarez's jabs are dying about 5 inches away from Barrera.
Barrera just really controlling things thus far. I mean, it's very early in this fight. 45 seconds to go in the second round of a scheduled 12-round world title fight. I mean, he picks him off, and again, its positioning is perfect there.
It's something where Juarez has allowed him to fight at a comfortable pace, and he will have to gamble in subsequent rounds, and I think he will.
You're talking about Juarez?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I think he'll gamble fairly soon, maybe the beginning of the next round.
Well, he's almost given away the first 2 rounds to my way of thinking. And this is something that we said he absolutely couldn't do, because this figures to be very close, and a lot of very close rounds in this fight. I mean, this is a fairly close round. Winging shots. Joe Cortez almost got nailed himself. I got to give that to Barrera myself. I mean, I just don't see how you can give that round to Juarez in any way.
Watch that punch behind the head, my man. Let's go.
Here we go, round number 3, scheduled for 12. Marco Antonio Barrera to the left of your screen. Rocky Juarez now to the left of your screen. Looks like Rocky does want to try to pick it up and close that gap a little bit. Get a punch in his way in. And Barrera is so slick because he pulls out at an angle. He's very tough when you try to come straight in on him to close that angle. You almost have to guess which way he's going to go and commit yourself that way and go after him. But then he plants and throws himself.
Well, if you're Rocky Juarez, this is the thing to do. You can passively lose the fight on the outside, or you can go inside and take your chances.
Well, I tell you, at this stage right now, I got to tell him, you got to put your ears back and go after him, right?
Yep. And that's what he's starting to do.
Try to make it a brawl right now on the inside and just stop what's going on. He's got to stop Barrera from just taking rounds by outboxing him. That time Barrera reaches him with a jab again. Rocky, yeah, go ahead, Dave.
Body shots by Juarez are starting to register them a little bit.
And that's what he needs to do. Anything to get Barrera off of this jab, stick and move, and then come in with a quick combination to you. Goes with the right hand lead that time, falls short, but the left hand doesn't. Juarez still trying to reach and cut him off. He needs to really attack him. Just a little more street, I think, in Rocky. You know, the thing is, he is such a school boxer as an amateur. I think some of these things, as a professional, may be haunting him just a little bit. I mean, you're talking about a fighter at very top-class level, but against a guy like Marco Antonio Barrera, a Hall of Famer, that's what it takes.
This is where he needs that extra dimension to be able to surge, to get inside, and find a secondary way to attack here against Barrera.
Barrera right now pot-shotting him with the left hand, holding him off pretty good. Rocky comes in, but nothing really lands solid.
No, they're not landing solid, but this is where he has to try and beat him, and at least he's recognized that fact.
There's Rocky with him up against the ropes with a big uppercut in the inside. Snaps the head back of Juarez. Barrera takes him off the ropes now. Rocky gives ground. But Rocky just can't reach him with a jab at all, which means it's ineffective. So you're right, Dave. He's got to go downstairs. He's got to go to the body, force us into more of a brawl. And he's trying to do that, but Barrera is so slick, it's difficult.
You can always be ready for that Barrera uppercut on the inside when Juarez has to gamble.
And there's Barrera now short with his right hand, and Rocky comes in, and we need more of that. But again, we're out of time here in the third round. There's only a few seconds left to go. And the bell ends round 3. Now there's a round, I don't know.
Juarez was better, but I still think it's Barrera's round.
And I agree. This is round 4. Marco Antonio Barrera facing you. So to the right of your screen now. Rocky Juárez to the left of your screen. Rocky picked up the action a little bit in round 3, but Dave and I are in agreement that you really couldn't give him that round. And now he needs to start taking some rounds.
And that means he has to start taking some more chances.
And you said that from the get-go, Dave, that he'd have to take more chances. Really, he hasn't taken any real chances. He had that one series of punches where he went downstairs, and I said they didn't score, but he said at least he's doing something different. This is hard stuff on the inside now. Joe Cortez saying don't grab his head, don't hit him behind the head. See, here we have a minute gone. Nobody's won that minute.
For Juarez, you can try throw 2 jabs, make him react, and then get inside. Or you bob and weave, get down low, take that chance. But try something. He got caught on the inside as he was coming in.
As Rocky has tuned it up a notch again, throwing shots to the body. Can't land his jab at all. Ineffective jab totally throughout the evening. I mean, that time at least he snapped it out there, but Marco Antonio able to slip the punch. Barrera not doing as much in this round offensively. Midway point in the round, so based on that, maybe this round is going Rocky's way. Joe cautions him about the heads coming together. Rocky lands one. Marco Antonio comes back with one, and then the hook behind that. Wide shot, but that's because Juarez feinted right and then slid around to his left and caught Barrera in between throwing a punch. Ordinarily, he doesn't throw big wide shots like that, but that's what happened in that case. He was actually feinted out of his punch.
Barrera pretty slick. He ties up Juarez when he comes in. If he doesn't like how the action is, he's been tying Juarez up, but Juarez has been fighting in closer quarters this round.
35 seconds to go in this round, and I think it's Juarez's best round, and not a significant round, but he certainly pressured Marco Antonio more, and Marco has just sort of taken this round off like he's in cruise control in this round. 20 seconds to go in the 4th. But Rocky wants to put an exclamation point on that he's won this round, if in fact the judges agree that he has. But Barrera now hasn't done much in this round whatsoever. Gets the jab out there okay. Rocky beat him to the punch in that combination. So on my score sheet, that's the first round as the bell ends the 4th that I can give to Rocky Juárez.
He's on the board.
This is round number 5. Marco Antonio Barrera, Rocky Juárez. Juarez, I thought, had his best round of the fight in the 4th round, although this is very close. This is good stuff now by Rocky. He needs more of it, though.
The jabs stay close and come in on Barrera. He is starting the exchanges from closer in. So now those jabs are not coming up 5 inches short. They're starting to land.
Barrera one jab at a time without anything behind it 3 times in a row. You know, something's different about Barrera since the 3rd round, though. I mean, he's not closing in and getting that jab in there. Rocky's missing all right. He's from the outside. He starts out here, but notice his stuff is being partially blocked or totally blocked in the gloves now by Juarez.
Juarez is pressuring differently than he did a couple rounds ago. And now Barrera has to react to Juarez, and he's not just able to fight on the front end like he was in the first 3 rounds of this fight.
But Rocky himself said that's what he would have to do in order to win this fight, to make that difference in the 1 or 2 points. So the difference probably will end up being the difference in winning and losing this fight. He sort of gave away those rounds, most definitely the first 2 rounds, and probably the third. And then he won the 4th round slightly, and this round's up for grabs, approaching the halfway point, or a little bit past the halfway point in the round.
When Juarez wasn't firing anything back, Barrera could be on the outside, dictating the pace, dictating his comfort level, and he looked very sharp. Juarez has to take that comfort away with the pressure, and he's trying to do that.
Rocky gets set up again, trying to draw Barrera to him to counter him, but Barrera lets fly with the right hand. Good body shot underneath the heart that time. That can be a punishing blow, you know, when you hit a guy right on top of the heart there.
Best punch of the fight. We've been waiting to see who would land the first good shot. Now Juarez with an uppercut. Barrera saying, bring it on. Juarez needs to.
Well, he does. Tough stuff on the inside again. This has turned out to be a bit of a chess match here, Dave. I expected this to be a little bit wild, and I expect it will be before it's over. But right now, this is more of a chess match than the first fight was.
Because of the lack of sustainability in style.
Barrera trying to put an exclamation point on whether or not he's going to win this round. That's a tough round to score. Very, very close round. And because of that, again, just so we're in line with the judges, I'm going to score 10-10 because I'm quite sure that the judges will be split on how they score that round.
There's Barrera going to the body, his best punch of the fight. And then Rocky Juárez on the inside, good uppercut, and the straight right hand got through. And he has to be more urgent like he was in that replay.
All right, here we go to round 6. This is scheduled for 12, and the way it's going, it has every indication that this is going to be another very close fight that is going to go right down the wire. Not a lot of difference between these two guys tonight. Unofficially, I've got Barrera slightly out in front in the fight.
And you saw the left hook to the head and body by Barrera get in because Juarez came to him, was in punching position, and he stopped. And that gave Barrera the opportunity to rifle in 2 hooks.
So Rocky on the assault on the inside, gets him up against the ropes. Now Barrera battles back. And now we have flashes of what we saw in the first fight here. There's been a lot of sustained action because both of them, see, I don't know if conservatives are right, a strategy, a chess match, or what's the proper term, but we haven't seen that big wild flurry of sustained action that we saw in the first fight. A lot of it.
These guys are fight, retreat, fight, regroup, think of the next move. They're trying to be a little too careful and make perfect punches. They should just let their hands go. And Barrera has done that a little bit more than Juarez.
Well, there's a series of punches by Barrera that are good. A sneaky right hand lead. Rocky comes back with a shot that falls short. And now you get the idea that the adrenaline flow is going with 1:26 seconds to go, and this is the 6th round. And this is the way Barrera sort of fought the first 3 rounds of the fight. Up at his toes, pot shotting with the left hand, sliding around to his left, plants, slides, and continues to slide, now goes back right. Rocky tries to hunt him down, lets fly with a shot, hooks it behind the head. Joe Cortez doesn't like it, but he doesn't want to stop the action, so he doesn't say anything. When I say he doesn't like it, he doesn't like a guy hitting somebody behind the ear. A rabbit punch, in other words.
When Juarez has Barrera in tight like this, he needs to fire body punches. Even if they're not the greatest shots in the world. Anything to slow Barrera down for later.
Well, just as you said that, Dave, he let fly with the right hand that it looked like, you know, he caught Barrera bouncing out and it had him off balance. And you're right, anything to get him off balance is good. Juarez trying to force it a little bit more now. Barrera willing to catch. He plants and comes with the uppercut. Boy, he invited him in for that one. But he didn't snap the head back. Neither fighter has been down. Nobody's shaken. A little bit of puffiness below the eyes of Rocky Juárez. Pretty good right hand to sail up over the left ear of Juarez by Marco Antonio Barrera. Mind you, folks, these are two brilliant boxers. Very, very good boxers. And if Marco Antonio Barrera has lost a little bit with age and difficult fights over the years, he's still a terrific fighter, isn't he? I got to give Barrera that round.
He gets that.
I'm looking for things to give to Rocky, but he's not giving me the opportunity.
Let's go, my man. Let's go.
All right, we're getting ready to go to the second half of this fight now. Not a lot between them in the first half of the fight. I have Barrera slightly out in front, but that's the way I had the last fight, and eventually that's the way it was scored. We'll see how it goes. This is round 7. Barrera with his back to you to the right of his screen. Rocky Juárez needs to pick up the pace and try to get back a couple of these points that I thought he gave away in the first 2 rounds of the fight. Other than that, it's been fairly even in terms of guys winning rounds or not winning rounds. Not a lot between the two of them.
In terms of positioning in the fight to make a run, I still think Juarez is in a little better position than he was the first fight, maybe being down only 2 points. So there's time if he starts now.
Well, he's got to get going because he's got to get something sustained. And so far, not that Barrera's been able to sustain an awful lot, but this manner of fighting where he's up on his toes, using the jab, move, and then come with the right hand, and every once in a while that half hook uppercut like that has been successful for him.
Juarez is best against a guy that comes straight to him or goes straight back.
But
and
Barrera,
when he gets that, he's fine. But Barrera's not giving him that, and these angles are posing a problem for Juarez. So he has to throw some of that chalk book stuff out the window and just fight.
And here's an instance where Barrera was, just as you were talking about it, was standing flat-footed in front of him. Rocky caught up with the shot, and then the macho stuff comes up. Barrera says, come on, let's go. Well, that's what the crowd in attendance wants to see. Go ahead, let it fly. We're tired of the chess match. You want to see a brawl now. We know you can box.
And we've seen Barrera in some fights where he has not moved as much. So if he volunteered to stay in front of Juarez is in a better spot. And you see, by Juarez's size, a number of guys are going to give him a problem because he has to overcome a little bit of a height and reach disadvantage.
As Barrera with that jab between the gloves of Rocky. Rocky has wanted to mix it up on occasion here in the 7th round, but this is a very close round again. And this is the problem in these fights, both fights. Not a lot of difference in any round between these guys throughout the course of the fight. Joe Cortez saying to Juarez, watch the head on the inside. He's got to using it as a battering ram a little bit. But some of that might be the frustration because this is a very dedicated athlete and things are not going particularly his way. Puffiness below the right eye, and it's a pretty good welt below the right eye. That's from the jab of Barrera throughout the course of this fight.
Yeah, when a guy cannot jab his way in, the frustration will mount for him.
I don't know. The bell ends the 7th round. Every
you know
round.
how many times we're saying that?
Every round we're saying.
It looked like Barrera maybe took away a round that was heading for Juarez. So you circle round 3, and then you circle this
The
round
6th
2.
round, the 7th round, I got a question mark. I scored the 5th round even, so 5, 6, and 7. You know, either judges, you can't argue with a professional judge who goes opposite of the way I scored the round.
I think the clear one was Barrera in 6. That was a clear one.
You know, when I did the James Tony Sampinas fight a couple of weeks ago, I was totally convinced in my scoring at the fight, and then I ran into 2 of the referees afterwards and had a long discussion, especially with Dick Flaherty, about how he scored the fight and what he said. I couldn't argue with him. And that's the situation in scoring this fight. I can't argue if somebody thought that Juarez won that round. If he won it, he didn't win it as significantly as Barrera won, let's say, round 1 and round 2. But all you have to do is win a 10-9 and it goes in your favor. But I thought Barrera won the round. This is tough. But, you know, in most of the close rounds so far, I've been giving them to Barrera. Well, it's round 8, and no matter how we're scoring it, it's a close. Every round is close. Every flurry is close. Every minute of each round, if you break it down that way, is close. Neither fighter has been down. Nobody visibly shaken. Rocky Juárez got a little problem with the swelling below his right eye.
One major difference, the jabbing we talked about in the reach. You talk about how Rocky Juárez has trouble against a lot of guys who are bigger than him. And Barrera, 33% of his jabs. Juárez, 18% of his jabs. And that's a significant way to start things.
Certainly is.
And when you compare the other fight, we had seen vulnerability in Barrera by this point in the first fight. And that vulnerability has not appeared in this fight.
I don't see him vulnerable at all to this point whatsoever.
In the first fight, you could see that Juárez was making a run at him, and he was going to get himself into the fight, and he put some rounds together. And that momentum hasn't been there for Juárez in this fight.
Well, here we are halfway through this 8th round, and it's the seesaw continues. There's Barrera with his combination. Juárez comes in and lets fly with a couple of shots of his own. Barrera holding him off with a jab. Rocky comes in and finally lands a left hook. One of his better punches landed during the course of the fight, and you get that Barrera saying, come on, let's mix it up. You think you landed a pretty good shot? So we know Barrera's been hit twice in the fight because that's the second time he's done that. At least he felt it.
There's a good left hook by Barrera, and he puts 2 shots together.
I just expected Rocky to come out and try to pressure Barrera more. I know the jab has been effective, and the way Barrera has been brilliant in boxing him, it's been difficult for Rocky. I mean, there he is. That's a frustrating shot right there where he throws that winding up right hand because he can't hit Barrera. He's just, you know, his inability to land good punches and clean punches is just significant in this fight. That was different from the first fight.
Taller fighters will give him the difficulty, and then he can't get inside. We saw him use the head before, and now Barrera had his most clear-cut round in a while here in the 8th.
And is Rocky showing frustration with the movement of Barrera? The bell ends it, and that's, to me, a Barrera round. I mean, ever so slightly, I just see Barrera just piling up points here now. This is the story of the fight. Watch this. Barrera jabs, Dave.
Yeah, out in the outside. Beats Juárez to it. Beats Juárez to it.
All right, we're coming up to round number 9, scheduled for 12. I'm the Colonel Bob Sheridan, with me, Dave Bontempo. You're watching Belmonte's Productions on HBO International. Glad that wherever you are around the world that you can be with us. We certainly enjoy bringing these fights to you on a regular basis. Marco Antonio Barrera to the left of your screen, putting on a real boxing match tonight in a strategic battle against Rocky Juárez, who we expected to see really assault him. And if there's going to be an assault, it better start now.
Well, better angles shown by Barrera in this fight, number 1. 2, Juárez has not been able to raise his game to the level of the first fight. There are differences between fights, and he's in a situation where the baby-faced assassin isn't even giving him aggravated assault right now. He's just moving side to side with angles, and Juárez has very few opportunities, and he's not making any.
He's trying as hard as he can. He's missing shots, but that's the positioning of Barrera. Barrera is able to tie him up when he comes in the inside. Another minute slips by in this fight for Rocky Juárez, and there's a real sense of urgency, I think, by Rocky right now.
Try to think of Juárez putting 2 punches together in this fight.
Well, we haven't seen it.
Rare occurrence. It just hasn't been, you know, it's 1 reload, it's 1 reload.
But part of that is the great defense of Barrera,
sure.
Dave, you know.
And the angle.
Yeah, I mean, look at the way he's moving side to side. You just can't line up. The only time he can throw a couple of punches is when he's got him on the inside like this, and Barrera knows how to fight on the inside as well, and also knows how to parry punches, tie you up. He's just a very, very good fighter, and it's frustrating for Rocky because he's a terrific fighter in his own right, and he's having fits with this guy tonight. It's not going, in my opinion, this fight as well for Juárez as the last fight did, and I thought Barrera won that fight.
Well, what's happened to Juarez, he was in a number of rounds, but he's leveled off in this fight. And Barrera has stepped up a notch. And that's what Juarez has to try to take away. Barrera has turned up a gear, and it's showing now.
Yet I see a sense of urgency of Rocky, but he's just having difficulty landing clean punches. He's, he wants to be in the fight. He wants to push the fight. He's trying to push the fight, Dave. I mean, here's an example of it here. This is a pretty good flurry. But right on the heels of it, out comes Barrera again. And
Juarez is starting to have trouble, puffiness around his right eye. We'll keep an eye on that, and that's the Barrera jab.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's been there for the past 2 or 3 rounds, but it's really closing up now.
And so he's going to have trouble seeing a lot now.
Trouble seeing the left hook, that's for sure. And that jab has been right on top of it throughout the course of the evening. Here comes the bell to end round number 9. You give Barrera that?
Oh, yeah.
Floyd Mayweather, all kinds of champs in attendance here tonight. Ricky Hatton we saw earlier.
Hey,
Winky right. They're having a good time. Look at this. This is Oscar, Hopkins, Mosley. They're all here.
The Troika. The 3 promoters.
All right, here we go. This is the 10th round of a scheduled 12-round world title fight at 130 pounds. Marco Antonio Barrera so far, in my opinion, just outboxing Rocky Juárez through most of this fight. Again, the rounds have been very close rounds in a lot of respects, but Barrera has just done such a terrific job in position. Now, Rocky, for the first 30 seconds of this round, is doing pretty good. Barrera back to the jab.
We talked earlier about rematches being about adjustments. Barrera moving more, and Juarez, who took his biggest step up in class to fight Barrera back in May, has not been able to fight at the same level he did in May. And the drop-off hasn't been dramatic, but it's been enough that he's now in desperation mode.
Well, that's the way we're seeing the fight. Yet don't forget, we had Barrera winning more comfortably than what he eventually won the last fight. And when it was announced a draw, we were actually in shock. We'll see the official judges again, Chuck Giampa and Dave Moretti of the Nevada Commission, and Hubert Min from Hawaii, all experienced judges. They're going to earn their money tonight with this one.
We have not seen Barrera in any danger and looking like he could lose, as we did see in some parts in the second half of that first fight.
I mean, you talk about ring generalship, it's been all Marco Antonio Barrera. Rocky has tried to chase him around at times. He tried to pick up the pace. He's, on the inside of the frustration, belt in the body. Tries to catch him in here. He'd love to fight the whole fight in here right now with the rest of it, but Marco won't let him do it. He spins him. And Joe Cortez has to separate the two.
Rocky Juárez now is going to know how Naseem Hamed felt when he came against Barrera and just just totally outboxed in that fight. It's one of the really great aspects of Barrera is that known as a knockout artist for so long, and yet in recent years his boxing has really come to the forefront.
Well, he's boxing a massive fight to my way of thinking tonight.
Yeah.
Double jab, right hand behind it. He's got the right eye practically closed of Rocky Juárez if it isn't tightly closed. Well, of course, if Barrera continues with the bell ending the 10th round, and another Barrera round as far as I can see. All right, here we go. This is the 11th round of the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas on the Mexican Independence Day weekend, and the Mexicans have turned out en masse. They love to come to Las Vegas, especially on a fight weekend, which this has turned out to be. Good crowd here at the MGM Grand turning out. Marco Antonio Barrera to the left of your screen, in my opinion, has just outboxed Rocky throughout. I don't even have this thing close anymore. The rounds have been fairly close. Most of the rounds have been real close, and especially in the early going. But on my score sheet now, Dave, Juarez would need a knockout to win.
Yeah, Barrera has even stepped it up more since round 7. He's winning rounds clearly, convincingly. We're seeing the frustration setting over Juarez, who's been out-jabbed by a 2-to-1 ratio the entire fight. Also, you know, you get a guy who's a slugger in the past. Here he comes in here and takes exactly what's offered and doesn't allow Juarez to fight the way he wants. He stays outside, he jabs, he wins the fight that way. He has not opened up for an alternate style for Juarez as he did the first time.
Juarez, it's got to be frustrating fighting this guy Barrera. Barrera has him all tied up on the inside. He can't move his arms. He knows exactly what he's doing in there. Then Joe Cortez separates the two. Barrera looks at him like, hey, what, you know, you want to fight or what? You know, like he wasn't doing anything. The baby-faced assassin. He's the guy that smile at you and then whip you. Rocky very frustrated, I think, right now. Wild with the left-handed sails over the shoulder of Marco Antonio Barrera. Barrera, to me, just completely outboxing this kid tonight. It's nothing like the first fight. Can you talk about the preparation of this fight, Dave? Rayon Tavares has been with Rocky Juárez since the beginning. You know he's well trained for this fight. He fought the guy once. He certainly should know how to fight him. But, I mean, everything he said he was going to do, he didn't do. He didn't come out fast in the beginning, which was one of the keys.
Well, you know what? Before the first fight, Juarez had the camp of his life. And he caught Barrera maybe a little off his game. And those two combinations made him very live at the end of the fight. Now,
if you have the camp of your life and you don't win, wouldn't you need another one?
Yeah.
But you can't do it. Is that what you're telling me?
Barrera improved. Yeah. Barrera showing more angles and tighter and smarter and basically
better adjustments.
Maybe took better adjustments and maybe was a little unnerved by the fact that Juarez made the first fight so close, and so he stuck with a better game plan. I think it's more of Barrera improvement more than anything that happened to Juarez.
Well, listen to the reaction of the crowd. I mean, this is a tough, hard, terrific fight here in Las Vegas, Nevada. The beautiful skyline. It's cooled off from the hot summer breezes, and not that the 80, 85 degrees is any cold wave. Sandra, is it?
Yes, indeed. But what Barrera has done is he made his fight plan. Just take what this gives you. Stay outside, jab, move on the angles. It was there the first time. He didn't take advantage this time, and he has.
All right, here we go. Round number 12. We talked about it in the last round, but here we are in the 12th round. Barrera doesn't have a mark on him. No nicks, nothing. And Barrera's done exactly the opposite to the face of Rocky Juárez, whose face looked like he'd been through a meat grinder. Barrera has been able to hold him off with a jab and score the right hand behind it. He's been able to pummel him with stiff jabs throughout the course of the fight. Rocky has fought from time to time in desperation, and if ever there's a time to be desperate, it's in the 12th round. But look at the movement of Barrera, who all he has to do is just box and stay off him now, but that's not. He's going to engage him. So in a lot of the close rounds, similar to the first fight, except for one factor, Barrera, I thought, just clearly won the rounds that he's won in this fight.
In the second half of the first fight, Juarez was putting rounds together.
Yeah.
He was getting to Barrera. He was getting himself in position to argue about the verdict. But here it's gone the other way. Barrera is like a train that left town after round 6.
Well, I think
he has totally had the second half of this fight.
If a slightly over the peak Barrera was good enough to do this to Rocky Juárez, there's a lot of fight left in Marco Antonio Barrera.
Well, yeah, you could be over your peak, but you can be very close to it. And then what you've lost in some physical skills, you get back in wisdom, you get back in angles, the ability to conserve energy.
Which may be the case in this fight because, I mean, he's just done a brilliant job in this fight throughout. Round number 12. Barrera just piling up points the way I see it on my score sheet. And Rocky would like to turn out the lights and catch this guy with something, but he can't. Barrera's too slick for him. At least on this night.
Juarez took his stab in rounds 3 through 6. And when he didn't get Barrera and changed the style of this fight by round 6, second half of this fight, after he hit the wall, Barrera just showed his masterful boxing skills and made this fight simple, which is what trainers always tell fighters.
20 seconds to go in this fight in a brilliant chess match and terrific boxing. I mean, look at the pace that this fight has been going throughout. It's been a boxing match. There have been no knockdowns in the fight. None of those real wild sections in the fight. But go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, and here in Las Vegas, where betting is legal, this is very close to an even fight. So a lot more of Juarez was expected, but it's Barrera who delivers, and he's still throwing stuff in at him after the fight. Now he's the end of the fight there, he was making gestures at Juarez.
Well, I get the fight scored 119-110 in favor of Marco Antonio Barrera. The only round that I eventually did give Juarez was the 4th round, and then the 5th round I had so close that there were other close rounds in the course of the fight, so I wouldn't expect the judges might have it quite as far apart, but I'd be really, really shocked if this guy doesn't retain the title in strong fashion tonight.
Well, this was one fight where the billing does not apply. This one is not too close to call. On a night when we've had some terrific fights and very close calls, we just saw Barrera go to a different level and Juarez not able to rise.
Well, in earlier fights tonight, Juan Guzman won a majority decision over Jorge Barrios, the kid from Tigre, Buenos Aires, Argentina. Lost his title on the scale, and then Juan Guzman took the advantage of the opportunity to fight for the WBO Super Featherweight or Junior Lightweight Championship, and he got the decision. Jorge Paez, in our very first fight of the evening, won a majority decision over Derek Campos, and Israel Vasquez, in a brilliant fight and a tough fight for Johnny Gonzalez, wins in a 10th round TKO when Gonzalez just couldn't continue after a pretty good pummeling. This one, not quite the fight we expected to see in that. It was a wonderful prize fight, don't get me wrong. If you watch it, you know that. But I just expected Rocky to start a whole lot faster, and that would have been the difference in the fight. And as it worked out, it may be the difference in the fight when the eventual judges' scores come down to us.
What he wasn't able to do and what he could not manufacture after Barrera stopped him early.
The MGM Grand of Las Vegas, we go to the judges' scorecards. Hubert Minton scores it 117 to 111. Chuck Jampa and Dave Moretti have it 115 to 113. All three to the winner by unanimous decision, and still WBC Super Featherweight Champion of the world, the babyface assassin, Marco Antonio